tired of ordinary television? Don't touch that dial. SCTV is now on the air. Starring John Candy, Joe Flaherty, Eugene Levy, Andrea Martin, Rick Moranis, Catherine O'Hara, and Dave Thomas. Television like you've never seen it before. This is the SCTV Television Network.
Beautiful. Good day. Welcome to the Great White North, a.k.a. Canadian Corner. My name is Bob McKenzie. It's my brother, Doug.
I'm not contributing as much to the shows anymore. Because I heard we were getting different salaries. I'm not talking. Go on, do the show.
No, where do you hear that?
Good day. That's all I say. Good day, eh?
Oh, we're out of time. That's the show for today. So good day. Where did you hear that?
I heard it.
Well, how much are you making?
I'm not telling.
Come on.
It's too embarrassing.
I'll pull your toque right off your head.
Take off.
1981. Mr. Jones. Again, we see there is nothing you can possess which I cannot take away. And you thought I had given up.
Give me the whip. Throw me the idol. No time to argue. Throw me the idol. I throw you the whip. Give me the whip. Adios, señor.
I'm Ryan T. Young, and welcome to Freezknotable Presents the 80s. 1981. It's 1981. You've been pushed through one of your bedroom walls by a bunch of midgets and a floating blue bald head. Pushed through that wall to the other side and fallen through the darkness and landed in 1981. Our first song of the evening, Blue Oyster Cult, Burnin' For You, from the album Fire of Unknown Origin, came out in July of 1981 and spent 3 weeks on the mainstream rock charts in the #1 position. Produced by Martin Birch, who's actually famous for producing Black Sabbath and Judas Priest, some heavy metal and sort of harder acts. But that's what gave this BOC album a harder edge. Songs from this album were also featured in the major motion picture Heavy Metal, which was based on a popular magazine at the time owned by the National Lampoon Company. So here in 1981, you can have a Coke in China, you can watch the royal wedding, you can get chased by a big round boulder through caves in the jungle. You can look for Natalie Wood off the coast of the Catalina Island. Watch a brand new thing called MTV. I'm not sure what that is yet. And what I'm going to do is try to impress Jodie Foster somehow. I'm not exactly sure how, but by the end of the show, I'm sure that I will come up with something. So right now, let's just see what's on the radio in 1981.
1981. 1981. 1981. Don't stop believing. 1981. 1981.
You're not shy, you get around, you wanna fly. The charge has been made that the United States has shipped weapons to Iran as ransom payment for the release of American hostages in Lebanon, that the United States undercut its allies and secretly violated American policy against trafficking with terrorists. Those charges are utterly false.
All right, last item. Last item is a directive from Divisional Commander Swanson concerning the alleged carrying of bizarre and unauthorized weapons by the officers of this precinct. Said officers are hereby warned to immediately surrender such weapons to the custody of their sergeant or face disciplinary action. All right, that's it. Let's roll. Hey, let's be careful out there.
Freezknotable presents the 80s, 1981. Ryan Thomas Young, and that was Santana with Winning, which later on down the line becomes Charlie Sheen's theme song. And before that was Foreigner with Urgent. Foreigner went into the studio with producer Robert Mutt Lang, who's best known at the time as the producer for hard rock band AC/DC. In the future, he would be most recognized as the producer of the Def Leppard albums Pyromania and Hysteria. Foreigner's sound wasn't quite as heavy as AC/DC, and the band worked with unknown Thomas Dolby to program and play the synthesizer. Dolby's work can be heard on Urgent, along with the saxophone playing by Motown great Junior Walker, who also was in the E Street Band. It reached number 2 on the Billboard mainstream rock charts in January of 1980. Also in January, Aerosmith lead singer Steven Tyler is injured in a motorcycle crash that leaves him hospitalized for 2 months. Ozzy Osbourne bites the head off a dove at the CBS record label offices. Van Halen's lead guitarist Eddie Van Halen ties the knot with actress Valerie Bertinelli. Ringo Starr and his wife Barbara Bach get married, but unfortunately after that they make a movie called Caveman, which is absolutely horrible. U2 appears on The Tomorrow Show with Tom Snyder, their first U.S. television appearance in the summer of 81. Also in the summer of 81, the TV series Night Flight, which I was a huge fan of, a variety show featuring music, documentaries, strange cartoons, and videos, premieres at midnight on the USA Network. Kerrang! Magazine publishes its first issue with Angus Young of AC/DC on the cover. Phil Collins releases his first solo album, Face Value. While the album would end up a smash success, Collins would remain a member of Genesis until 1995. But something I'd like to talk about before we get into that song is what a musical genius Phil Collins is. Not only is he great in Genesis and as a solo act, but his music seems to stand the test of time and almost get better the older I get. Now, that probably means that maybe my musical tastes are going a little, I don't know, mainstream or nostalgic or pop radio cheese or whatever you want to say about it. But the song In the Air Tonight, which is most associated with this year, 81, and Phil Collins, is the debut single by the English drummer and singer-songwriter Phil Collins, who I believe is one of probably 4 or 5 musical geniuses that show up in the 80s and kind of do so in a silent, kind of under-the-radar way. I'm talking about people like Kenny Loggins, who writes music for movies, and Phil Collins, who just writes incredibly great songs, one right after another, plays drums, sings. These people end up being a lot more important to you as you get older and realize that their body of work really stands the test of time. That music, of course, is famous for not only being Phil Collins' first solo venture, but it's also one of the earliest videos on a brand new television channel called MTV that plays nothing but videos that we will talk about in the second segment. In the Air Tonight reaches number 2 in the mainstream rock charts, and it's also used twice in the TV series Miami Vice. First in the 1984 pilot episode, and then in an 88 flashback later on. The song is such an atmospheric gem and creates such a cool mood that I'm convinced that you could use it in almost anything to create a cool mood. It doesn't have to be something as hip and sharp as Miami Vice. Example, you could use that music and get the same effect if you put it in On Golden Pond with Henry Fonda.
What do you do out there in California? I mean, what does one do for recreation when one is 13 and not in school?
We cruise chicks. Cruise chicks. You know, meet them. Girls. Try to pick them up.
What do you do with them when you have them?
Suck face.
Beg your pardon?
No, kiss. Suck face, you kiss.
Hello there.
Hi.
Want to dance? Or would you rather just suck face?
You really are a case, you know.
1981.
I've seen your face before my so you can wipe off that grin. I know where you've been. It's all been a pack of lies. And I can feel it coming in the air tonight. Oh Lord. Well, I've been waiting for this moment for all my life. Oh Lord. I can feel it coming in the air tonight. Oh Lord. Well, I've been waiting for this moment for all my life. Oh Lord. Oh Lord. Well, I remember, don't worry. How could I ever forget? It's the first time, the last time we ever met. But I know the reason why you keep your silence up. No, you don't fool me. The hurt doesn't show, but the pain still grows. Some stranger to you.